Captain Brop V of the Zorak Collective considered himself a foremost authority on primitive species. After all, he'd authored the highly regarded Understanding Primitive Species for Dummies, Volume 23, a cornerstone of Zorak military academies. An entire chapter was devoted to humans, fragile, impulsive, and remarkably uncoordinated. His conclusions were straightforward: humans were illogical, technologically inferior, and predisposed to spectacular self-annihilation. This latter trait, he believed, would simplify his task. The Zorak fleet, a massive armada of polished silver vessels, menacingly shimmered under the sun just beyond Earth's atmosphere. From his position on the bridge of the flagship, the Relentless Negotiator Brop observed the blue-green planet below with a detached interest one might give an overripe piece of fruit. Pathetic, he murmured. The bridge buzzed with activity as Zorak officers, adorned in uniforms excessively decorated with epaulets, monitored screens displaying Earth's rudimentary satellite network. Lieutenant Garnett, the communications officer, focused intently on a particularly distorted transmission. "Captain," he reported, his tentacle hovering hesitantly over the console, "they appear to be broadcasting something about bovine creatures." Brop's face contorted in disgust. "Primitive diversions," he dismissed. "Concentrate on their defenses, if they possess any." Back on Earth, the situation was unfolding precisely as the Zorak had anticipated, chaotic and disorganized. Within the hastily assembled subterranean command center of Earth's Defense Coalition, alarms blared incessantly. Officers rushed around, attempting to comprehend the impending alien threat. The scene resembled an ant colony disrupted by a careless foot. "Do we have a plan?" barked General Rosman Kale, a pragmatic woman perpetually scowling and averse to sleep. "Well, not exactly a plan, per se asterisk," mumbled Commander Finchley Dreyer, her perpetually optimistic second-in-command, whose positive outlook bordered on delusion. "But we do have Lieutenant Maxwell Albright." General Kale pinched the bridge of her nose. "The coffee addict? The one who nearly obliterated his own squadron last week?" To be fair, it was a really complicated cup holder malfunction, Finchley offered. In a dimly lit corner of the command center, Lieutenant Maxwell Max Albright nursed his sixth espresso of the morning, his trembling hand gripping the cup as if it were his lifeline to sanity. Max, a man of average height with unruly hair, projected the aura of someone who had made a series of questionable life choices and then doubled down. "I don't see the big deal," Max muttered, observing the live feed of the alien fleet on his tablet. "Big, shiny ships. Oh, scary." He loudly slurped his coffee, drawing irritated glances from nearby officers. Just then, a voice crackled over the intercom, "All pilots to your stations. I repeat, all pilots to your stations. The aliens are forming an attack formation." Max sighed, placing his empty cup on a nearby console with a carelessness that suggested a disregard for spills. "Guess that's my cue," he said, getting to his feet. Aboard the Relentless Negotiator Captain Brop smirked. "Commence Phase 1. Let's remind these creatures what happens when they meddle with forces beyond their comprehension." The fleet maneuvered into formation, a complex display of precision and menace. On Earth, General Kale observed the enormous alien ships on her screen. "Well, this is it," she said grimly. "Our first, and likely last, interstellar war." "Not necessarily," Finchley countered, ever the optimist. "We've got coffee, guts, and, I think that's about it, actually." Now strapped into the cockpit of his aging starfighter, Max flipped a few switches and mumbled, "Alien Invasion Day 1. Max Albright, caffeine enthusiast, reporting for duty." What could possibly go wrong? The engine sputtered to life with a sound resembling a wheeze. As the fleet launched, Max's squadron formed around him. Albright, his squadron leader's voice crackled through the comms. "Please, for the love of all that is good, don't touch anything until I say so." "No promises," Max replied, taking a sip from a concealed thermos. High above Earth, the Zorak fleet powered up their weaponry. Captain Brop's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "This will be over before lunch," he declared confidently. Oh, how wrong he was. Max's cockpit carried the faint aroma of burnt wiring and stale coffee, his two primary contributions to Earth's defense. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from the effects of his sixth espresso. He squinted at the instrument panel, which displayed a concerning array of flashing red lights and cryptic error messages. "Okay, relax," he muttered. "It's just a highly advanced alien fleet capable of vaporizing the planet in seconds. No pressure." Above him, the Zorak ships assumed an intimidating formation. Each vessel was sleek, shimmering, and armed with weapons capable of turning continents into puddles. From the Relentless Negotiator Captain Brop observed the situation with smug satisfaction. "Humans," he scoffed. "A species so enamored with their own mediocrity that they actually believe caffeine is a performance enhancer." Back in Max's starfighter, the caffeine in question was indeed enhancing something, although primarily his capacity for impulsive decisions. "Albright, stay in formation." "Repeat, stay in formation," his squadron leader's voice barked. Right, Max replied, adjusting his controls with a shaky hand. He attempted to level out, but accidentally bumped a mysterious button labeled "Do Not Press." He pressed it instinctively. Instantly, his ship's targeting system roared to life, locking onto a random satellite orbiting Earth. Max winced as a shrill alarm blared in his headset. This is probably fine," he said to no one in particular. It was not fine. Within the confines of Max's aging starfighter, the air hung heavy with the aroma of burnt wiring and stale coffee, his two most significant contributions to Earth's defense. His hands trembled ever so slightly, not from fear but from the potent effects of his sixth espresso of the day. He peered at the instrument panel, a disconcerting display of flashing red lights and incomprehensible error messages. "Easy now," he mumbled to himself, attempting a semblance of calm. "It's only a vastly superior alien fleet capable of turning the planet into dust in mere seconds. No pressure." High above, the Zorak ships arranged themselves into a truly daunting formation. Each vessel, sleek and shimmering, bristled with weaponry potent enough to liquefy continents. From aboard the Relentless Negotiator Captain Brop surveyed the unfolding events with an air of self-satisfied smugness. "Humans," he sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "A species so enamored with their own insignificance, they genuinely believe caffeine can somehow improve their abilities." Back in Max's starfighter, the caffeine in question was indeed enhancing something, primarily his propensity for rash choices. "Albright, maintain formation." "I repeat, maintain formation," his squadron leader's exasperated voice echoed over the comms. Yeah, Max replied distractedly, fiddling with the controls with unsteady hands. As he struggled to level his fighter, he inadvertently nudged a cryptic button ominously marked "Do Not Press." His finger, seemingly possessed by an independent will, depressed the button. In that instant, the targeting system on his ship sprang to life with a ferocious roar, locking onto a random satellite in Earth's orbit. A piercing alarm shrieked in his headset, causing Max to wince. Everything's probably under control," he muttered unconvincingly to the empty cockpit. Everything was decidedly not under control. A vibrant blue laser beam erupted from Max's starfighter, slicing through the satellite with unnerving precision. The satellite, a forgotten relic of a defunct telecommunications company, began to spin wildly, colliding with a second satellite, which in turn struck a third. Within seconds, Earth's orbital space transformed into a chaotic spectacle of ricocheting debris, resembling a celestial pinball machine gone haywire. On the bridge of the Relentless Negotiator Lieutenant Garnett's tentacles flailed in a flurry of confusion. "Captain," he stammered, his voice laced with bewilderment, "their primitive technology seems to be engaging us." "Preposterous!" Brop snapped, his initial confidence shaken as the debris hurtled towards the Zorak fleet. The first piece of space junk, a mangled satellite dish, slammed directly into the shield generator of a Zorak scout ship. Sparks erupted as the ship spiraled out of control, colliding with a larger cruiser. The crippled cruiser veered sideways, clipping another ship and setting off a chain reaction of collisions. The once impeccable Zorak formation rapidly devolved into utter chaos. What in the name of Zorak is happening? Brop roared, his epaulets trembling with a mixture of rage and disbelief. It appears, Garnet stammered, struggling to comprehend the situation, the humans have deployed some sort of unpredictable chain reaction weapon. A what? Brop's eyes widened in astonishment. Back on Earth, Max watched the unfolding carnage on his screen with a mixture of surprise and awe. Whoa, he muttered, taking a long sip from his thermos. Guess they weren't exaggerating about those 1 in a million shots. Within the confines of Max's aging starfighter, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of burnt wiring and old coffee, his two most notable contributions to Earth's defense. His hands trembled just a bit, not from a sense of dread, but from the potent effects of his sixth espresso. The instrument panel presented a worrisome display of blinking red lights and enigmatic error messages. Stay calm, he murmured to himself, feigning composure. It's merely a vastly superior alien force capable of obliterating the planet in a matter of seconds. No pressure. High above, the Zorak vessels assumed an intimidating battle formation. Each ship, gleaming and polished, was armed with weapons powerful enough to melt entire continents. From his position on the relentless negotiator Captain Brop watched the developing situation with smug satisfaction. Humans, he scoffed, his voice filled with disdain. A species so enamored with their own insignificance that they actually think caffeine can somehow enhance their performance. Back in Max's starfighter, the aforementioned caffeine was indeed enhancing something, mainly his penchant for impulsive actions. Albright, maintain formation. I say again, maintain formation, his squadron leader's exasperated voice boomed over the comms. Right, Max responded absent-mindedly, fiddling with the controls with his unsteady hands. As he attempted to level the fighter, he accidentally bumped a mysterious button with the ominous label "Do Not Press." His finger, almost of its own accord, pushed the button. Immediately, the targeting system on his craft sprang to life with a ferocious growl, locking onto a random satellite orbiting Earth. A piercing alarm shrieked in his headset, making Max wince. I'm sure everything's perfectly normal, he mumbled unconvincingly to the empty cockpit. Everything was most definitely not normal. A bright blue beam of energy shot out from Max's starfighter, cutting through the satellite with alarming precision. The satellite, a long-forgotten piece of technology from a defunct telecommunications company, started to spin erratically, crashing into another satellite, which then collided with a third. In a matter of seconds, the space surrounding Earth had become a chaotic scene of ricocheting debris, a celestial pinball machine gone mad. On the bridge of the relentless negotiator Lieutenant Garnet's tentacles flailed in a frenzy of bewilderment. Captain, he stuttered, his voice filled with confusion, their primitive technology appears to be attacking us. Absurd. Brop snapped, his initial confidence wavering as the debris field hurtled towards the Zorak fleet. The first piece of space junk, a twisted satellite dish, slammed directly into the shield generator of a Zorak scout ship. Sparks flew as the ship lost control, spiraling into a larger cruiser. The damaged cruiser veered off course, sideswiping another vessel and setting off a chain reaction of collisions. The once pristine Zorak formation quickly descended into utter disarray. What in the name of Zorak is going on? Brop bellowed, his epaulets trembling with a combination of fury and disbelief. It would appear, Garnet stammered, struggling to comprehend the unfolding events, the humans have deployed some form of unpredictable chain reaction weapon. A what? Brop's eyes widened in astonishment. Back on Earth, Max observed the unfolding carnage on his screen with a mixture of surprise and amazement. Wow, he muttered, taking a long drink from his thermos. Guess they weren't joking about those 1 in a million shots. In the Earth Defense Command Center, General Kale stared at the monitors, speechless. What are we seeing? She demanded. It appears, Finchley stated hesitantly, that one of our pilots has initiated a rather unconventional counteroffensive strategy. Kale narrowed her eyes. Which pilot? Finchley coughed nervously. Albright. Kale slammed her fist on the table. Of course it's Albright. On the bridge of the relentless negotiator chaos reigned. A chunk of stray debris, propelled by sheer misfortune, found its way to the flagship's main power conduit. The lights flickered, and a deep, unsettling groan emanated from the ship's engine. "Captain," Lieutenant Garnet reported, his voice trembling, "the flagship has lost power. We're adrift." Brop's complexion shifted to a sickly green. This can't be happening. They're imbeciles." "And yet," Garnet replied, his tone tinged with resignation, "here we are." Meanwhile, Max, blissfully unaware of the full extent of the havoc he'd wrought, noticed his targeting system blinking again. He furrowed his brow. "Oh no, did I hit something important?" he wondered aloud, as his ship's system, seemingly of its own volition, locked onto another random piece of debris. Another laser beam fired, and another chain reaction ensued, explosions rippling across the Zorak fleet. Captain Brop could only watch in horrified disbelief as his meticulously planned invasion crumbled before his eyes. "Order a retreat," he bellowed, his voice strained. "These humans, they're insane." Captain Brop's pride was shattered, much like his fleet. The relentless negotiator once a symbol of Zorak military might, now drifted aimlessly in Earth's orbit like an oversized, disgruntled frisbee. Around him, his officers frantically tried to comprehend the catastrophe unfolding on their monitors. "Lieutenant Garnet!" Brop barked, his voice a strained blend of fury and disbelief. "Explain how an entire armada has been crippled by a single human pilot." Garnet's tentacles fumbled over his controls. "Sir, it appears the humans possess a rather unorthodox, and frankly terrifying, approach to warfare. Their strategy is completely unpredictable, almost as if they have no strategy at all." Brop slammed his fist onto the console, which responded with a pathetic beep and powered down. "This is impossible. Our analysts assured us these creatures were reckless and disorganized." "They are, sir," Garnet said gravely, "and that's precisely what makes them so dangerous." Back on Earth, Max Albright was experiencing a minor existential crisis in his cockpit. "Okay, Max," he muttered, attempting to soothe his frayed nerves. "Let's recap. You've just accidentally incapacitated half the alien fleet. No biggie. Totally normal Tuesday." He reached for his thermos and took a long, shaky sip. The radio crackled to life. "Albright." General Cale's voice boomed in his earpiece. Max nearly choked on his coffee. Hi General. Fancy hearing from you. What have you done?" "Well, funny story," Max stammered, fumbling for words. "There was this satellite, and then this other satellite, and then, I don't care about the details." Cale interrupted. "The point is, somehow your incompetence has thrown the alien fleet into complete disarray. We're calling it Operation Relentless Improvisation." "Catchy, no?" Max chuckled nervously. "Don't get cocky, Albright," Cale snapped. "The Zorak aren't finished yet. Stay in position," and Cale's voice was abruptly cut off by a new alarm blaring in Max's cockpit. A bright red warning flashed across his console, missile lock detected. "Uh-oh," Max muttered. On the relentless negotiator Captain Brop had decided enough was enough. "Target that human pilot," he growled. "If we can't destroy their fleet, we'll eliminate the source of their madness." Aboard the crippled relentless negotiator Captain Brop seethed. A random chunk of debris, guided by sheer misfortune, had found its way to the flagship's main power conduit. The lights flickered ominously, and a deep, unsettling groan echoed from the ship's core. "Captain," Lieutenant Garnet reported, his voice shaky, "we've lost main power to the flagship. We're adrift." Brop's face turned a sickly shade of green. This is preposterous. They're blithering fools." "And yet," Garnet replied, a hint of resignation in his voice, "here we are." Meanwhile, Max, blissfully unaware of the sheer scale of the chaos he'd unleashed, noticed his targeting system blinking again. He frowned. "Wait a minute, did I hit something important?" he mumbled, just as his ship's system, seemingly with a mind of its own, locked onto another random piece of space junk. Another laser beam shot out, triggering yet another chain reaction of explosions that rippled across the already battered Zorak fleet. Captain Brop could only watch in stunned disbelief as his meticulously planned invasion disintegrated before his eyes. "Retreat," he roared, his voice strained. "These humans, they're utterly insane." Captain Brop's pride was in tatters, just like his fleet. The relentless negotiator once a symbol of Zorak military might, now drifted aimlessly in Earth's orbit like a giant, discarded toy. His officers frantically tried to understand the disaster unfolding on their monitors. "Lieutenant Garnet!" Brop bellowed, his voice a mix of fury and bewilderment. "Explain to me how a single human pilot has managed to disable an entire armada." Garnet's tentacles fumbled nervously over his controls. "Sir, it appears the humans employ a rather unconventional, and frankly alarming, approach to warfare. Their strategy is entirely unpredictable. It's almost as if they have no strategy." Brop slammed his fist on the console, which responded with a weak beep before shutting down completely. "This is impossible. Our intelligence assured us these creatures were disorganized and impulsive." "They are, sir," Garnet said grimly, "and that, ironically, is what makes them so dangerous." Back on Earth, Max Albright was having something of an existential crisis in his cockpit. "All right, Max," he muttered, attempting to calm his racing heart. "Let's review. You've just accidentally taken out half the alien fleet. No worries. Perfectly typical Tuesday." He reached for his thermos and took a long, shaky swig. The radio crackled to life. "Albright." General Cale's voice boomed through his headset. Max nearly choked on his coffee. Hello, General. Didn't expect to hear from you. What in the world have you done?" "Well, it's a long story," Max stammered, struggling to find the right words. "There was this satellite, and then another satellite, and then, I don't need the details." Cale interrupted. "The point is, somehow your sheer incompetence has completely disrupted the alien fleet. We're calling it Operation Relentless Improvisation. Clever, right?" Max chuckled nervously. "Don't get overconfident, Albright," Cale snapped. "The Zorak aren't done yet. Stay in position," and Cale's voice was suddenly cut off by a new alarm blaring in Max's cockpit. A bright red warning flashed across his console, "Missile lock detected." "Uh-oh," Max muttered. On the relentless negotiator Captain Brop had reached his breaking point. "Target that human pilot," he snarled. "If we can't destroy their fleet, we'll eliminate the source of their inexplicable luck." Aboard the crippled relentless negotiator Captain Brop simmered with barely contained fury. A stray piece of debris, propelled by nothing more than sheer bad luck, had impacted the flagship's main power conduit. The lights flickered ominously, and a deep, unsettling groan emanated from the ship's core. "Captain," Lieutenant Garnet announced, his voice trembling slightly, "we have suffered a loss of main power. The flagship is adrift." Brop's face took on a sickly greenish hue. This is absurd. They're absolute morons." "Nevertheless," Garnet responded, a touch of resignation coloring his tone, "here we are." Meanwhile, Max, utterly oblivious to the true magnitude of the havoc he'd unknowingly wreaked, noticed his targeting system blinking yet again. He furrowed his brow in confusion. "Hold on a second, did I accidentally hit something vital?" he wondered aloud, just as his ship's targeting system, as if acting on its own accord, locked onto yet another random piece of orbital debris. Another laser beam burst forth, triggering another cascade of explosions across the already battered Zorak fleet. Captain Brop could only stare in horrified disbelief as his meticulously orchestrated invasion plan crumbled into dust before his very eyes. "All ships, retreat," he bellowed, his voice raw with strain. "These humans, they're completely deranged." Captain Brop's pride was in ruins, mirroring the state of his fleet. The relentless negotiator once a shining example of Zorak military prowess, now drifted aimlessly through Earth's orbit like a discarded child's toy. His officers frantically attempted to make sense of the catastrophic turn of events unfolding on their monitors. Lieutenant Garnet! Brop roared, his voice a mixture of fury and bafflement. Explain to me how a solitary human pilot has managed to single-handedly cripple an entire armada. Garnet's tentacles twitched nervously as he manipulated his controls. Sir, it would seem the humans utilize a rather unconventional, and to be frank, quite alarming, approach to warfare. Their strategy is entirely unpredictable. It's as if they operate without any coherent strategy whatsoever. Brop slammed his fist down on the console, which responded with a pathetic beep before powering down completely. This is preposterous. Our intelligence reports assured us these creatures were disorganized and impulsive. They are, sir, Garnet replied grimly, and paradoxically, that is precisely what makes them so formidable. Back on Earth, Max Albright was undergoing a mild existential crisis within the confines of his cockpit. Okay, Max, he muttered to himself, attempting to quell his racing thoughts. Let's recap. You appear to have inadvertently disabled a significant portion of the alien fleet. No big deal. Just a regular Tuesday. He reached for his thermos and took a long, steadying swig of its contents. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. Albright. General Cale's voice boomed through his headset, causing Max to nearly choke on his coffee. Hello, General. To what do I owe the pleasure? Just what in the blazes have you done? Well, it's a rather complicated story, Max stammered, grasping for an explanation. There was this satellite, see, and then another satellite, and then, I don't need the minutiae. Cale interrupted sharply. The bottom line is, your sheer incompetence has somehow thrown the entire alien fleet into utter disarray. We're officially designating this operation Relentless Improvisation. Rather ingenious, wouldn't you say? Max offered a nervous chuckle. Don't get too complacent, Albright, Cale snapped. The Zorak are far from finished. Maintain your current position, and Cale's voice was abruptly cut short by a new alarm screaming within Max's cockpit. A bright red warning flashed ominously across his console, missile lock detected. Uh-oh, Max muttered under his breath. On the bridge of the Relentless Negotiator Captain Brop had finally reached his limit. Target that human pilot, he snarled. If we cannot annihilate their fleet, we will at least eliminate the source of their baffling success. A Zorak missile hurtled through the vastness of space, aimed directly at Max's starfighter. Okay, think, Max muttered to himself, his voice rising in pitch as panic began to set in. He jerked the controls violently, sending his ship into a wild, caffeine-induced spin. The missile narrowly missed, continuing on its trajectory towards a large piece of floating debris. The debris, naturally, ricocheted into a damaged Zorak frigate, which promptly erupted in a spectacular fireball. The resulting shockwave sent another missile careening off course, impacting the Relentless Negotiator S last remaining functional weapon system. Brop stared at the unfolding chaos, his face twitching uncontrollably. This isn't warfare, he muttered in disbelief. This is a cosmic farce. Back on Earth, General Cale and Commander Finchley observed the unfolding spectacle with a mixture of awe and bewilderment. It's like watching a toddler juggle live explosives, Finchley remarked. Cale remained silent, too preoccupied with reassessing her opinion of Max Albright. Finchley, she finally said, her voice low and deliberate, I want every single frame of footage from this incident meticulously archived. If we manage to survive this, we're going to present this as a stroke of tactical genius. Operation Relentless Improvisation? Finchley inquired. Cale nodded. The history books will eat it up. High above them, Max's starfighter limped through the battlefield, trailing a thin wisp of smoke. All right, he mumbled to himself, let's see if I can avoid blowing anything up for, say, 5 seconds. As if the universe had heard him and decided to take it as a personal challenge, another warning blared from his console, critical system failure. Landing gear malfunction. Max groaned. Just perfect. The Zorak fleet, or what remained of it, had finally had enough. On the bridge of the Relentless Negotiator Captain Brop issued a desperate command. All ships, retreat! Immediately! These humans, they're lunatics. We cannot combat this level of chaos. The remaining Zorak vessels turned tail and fled into the void, their retreat as dignified as a stampede of startled space cows. As the last enemy ship vanished from view, Max leaned back in his seat, his thermos now empty. Well, he exhaled slowly, I guess that's one way to win a war. The Zorak fleet's hasty retreat left a strange and unsettling quiet hanging over Earth's orbit. Max Albright, still strapped into his battered starfighter, stared blankly at the blinking victory notification on his targeting system. It felt simultaneously smug and completely unearned. Victory, he muttered, tapping the screen. That wasn't strategy. That was physics having a really bad day.